Now we will see class 12 Sociology, chapter 8 Social Movement, part 6 Workers' Movement. Factory production began in India in the early part of 1860s. You will recall our discussion on a specific character of industrialization in the colonial period. The general pattern of the trade set by the colonial regime was under which raw materials were produced from India and goods manufactured in the United Kingdom were marketed in the colony. These factories were thus established in the port towns of Kolkata Kolkata, and Bombay Mumbai. Later factories were also set up in Madras, Chennai. Tree plantations in Assam were established as early as 1839. In the early stages of colonialism, labor was very cheap as the colonial government did not regulate either the wages or working conditions. You will remember the manner in which the colonial government ensured such supply of labor in tea plantation, chapter 1. Though trade unions emerged later, workers did protest. Their actions then were, however, more spontaneous than substrained. Some of the nationalist leaders also drew in the workers into the anti-colonial movement. The war led to the expansion of the industries in the country, but it also brought a great deal of the misery to the poor. There were food shortage and the sharp increase in the prices. There were waves of strikes in the textile mills in Bombay. In September and October 1917, there were around 30 recorded strikes. Jute workers in Kolkata struck work. In Madras, the workers of Panjam and Carnatic mills beneath struck work for increased wages. Textile workers in Ahmedabad struck work for increase in wages by 50%. In bracket Bhaumik 2004. The first trade union was established in April 1918 in Madras by B.P. Wadia, a social worker and the member of the Theosophical Society. During the same year, Mahatma Gandhi founded the Textile Labour Association (DLA). In 1940, all the India Trade Union Congress (AITUC) formed in Bombay. The AITUC was a broad-based organization involving diverse ideologies. The main ideological groups were Communist led by S.A. Danj and M.N. Roy, the Moderates led by M. Joshi and V.V. Giri, and the Nationalists which involved people like Lala Lajpat Rai and Jawaharlal Nehru. The formation of AITUC made the colonial government more cautious in dealing with labor. It attempted to grant workers some concerns in order to contain unrest. In 1922, the government passed the Fourth Factories Act, which reduced the working day to 10 hours. And in 1926, the Trade Unions Act was passed, which provided for registration of trade unions and imposed some regulations. By mid-1920s, the AITUC had nearly 200 unions affiliated to it, and its membership stood at around 250,000. During the last few years of British rule, the communists gained considerable control over the AITUC. The Indian National Congress chose to form another union called Indian National Trade Union Congress (INTUC) in May 1947. The split in the AITUC in 1947 paved the way for further split on the lines of political parties, apart from the working class movement being divided on the lines of political parties at the national level and regional parties who started to form their own unions from the late 1960s. In 1966 to 67, the economy suppressed a large recession which led to decrease in production and consequently employment. There was a general unrest. In 1974, there was a major railway workers' strike. The confrontation between the state and the trade unions became acute. During the emergency in 1975 to 77, the government curbed all trade union activities. This again was short-lived. The workers' movement was very much part of the wide struggle for civil liberties. In the contemporary context of globalization, you have to read about the changes affecting labor. The changes before the trade unions are also of a new nature. We need to go back to chapter 5 and 6 to understand this. Here they are giving the figure. Top, the Bombay Textile Workers Strike 1981 to 82. Women workers at the union demonstration Arwal, Bihar 1987. Activity 8.8. Follow the news regularly and collect the information on the issues that trade unions are taking up. Discuss in the context of globalization. Thank you. Sharing is caring. Comment your thoughts. Subscribe for more knowledge.